Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show podcast, and welcome back. It is a Monday morning, September 8th, and the year has blown by so quick. I mean, we're here, and it just seemed like we blink. It was yesterday. I'm your host, Derek Stewart, along with my kinfolk, Isaah. We're so happy to be with you on a Monday morning, fam, because, this is about us together, sharing information, media and all different types of ideas and, feedback and things of that sort. Today was a good day, and every day is a good day that you can wake up above ground and be able to breathe, be able to walk, be able to have your functions and everything that works for you. Because all of these outside stresses outside of you waking up and being able to be healthy that day don't mean much. They may seem like they mean much, but they don't. Because if you don't have your health, you're not going to have anything. Just keep that in mind. That's from personal experience. I was in the hospital back in 2005 for a whole week. Thought I was going to die. But anyway, that's a whole nother story in itself. Make sure you hit that like button, because when you hit that like button, it talks to the algorithm for us. And it also, it sends, our reach becomes much larger when you click that like button and when you subscribe, because when you subscribe, you're going to get the notifications. Najee is out on assignment, and he will be back with us because he's always missed when he's not here with us on this show. So he'll be back. Isaah and myself will be covering the weekend sports recap. Boy, we had a good weekend of sports, especially Saturday. Me and Isaah called the Oklahoma, Michigan game, and that was a great game. Oklahoma ended up dominating the game all the way till the end, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And NFL Sunday, we had a good day on Sunday for NFL. Isaah was able to cover that Baltimore-Buffalo game, and that was a big old letdown to me. Big shocker, because Baltimore led most of the game, and for them to come up short, that's the worst kind of loss you could ever go through. Me having experience with that, when you thought you had something won and within the last seconds it ticks down, their kicker comes in with about maybe X amount of seconds on the clock. He kicks a field goal, and they were the players was acting like it was a national championship or they had won the Super Bowl. They lifted the kicker up, was walking around with him on the field. So we'll talk about that. And we got some other news to talk about. So while we're at it, let's bring in my main guy, Isaah. I love that hat too, by the way. Did you do anything significant this weekend that we need to know about?
Well, every weekend is the same with me. I try to spend time with my family members, man, and talk to them and love on them some, because, man, like you were mentioning earlier, how fast time is going by. And the ones that's older, you got to at least speak to them, tell them you love them, and try to see them as much as you can. So that's what I'm always doing. I mean, those weekends, I try to at least hello and go give them hugs and tell them I love them, because those times may not be around too much longer. But I'm trying to enjoy them while they're here. I don't want them to get to the point where they're bed stricken or either lose them. So I'm telling them and hanging out with them as much as possible right now, because that's what it's really all about, caring for somebody who love you and care for you. So that's my weekends constantly.
That is so true, and that is a well-stated story. If you think about life in general, I meet a lot of people on a daily basis, and one thing is for sure, people are people. So never get that out of the back of your mind. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter their culture or their religion. Every person that I've come across, and I've come across a lot of people over my lifetime, everybody is pretty much the same. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be accepted. We all want those things, and we want to be to a point where we're accepted into groups or accepted into individual relationships. But you got to keep in mind, the only way you could be accepted is you got to accept other people. If you don't accept other people, how can you expect for yourself to be accepted into society, wherever you are? You could be anywhere in the world, and that matters. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. I did have a good breakfast this morning. I had eggs, sausage, some waffles. It's been a long time. I don't usually get up and cook in the morning, but I did this morning, and me and my wife had a really nice time. But I am still on that weight loss process to get this weight loss off of me. So I need to get rid of about 10 pounds. If I get rid of about 10 pounds, bring myself down about 170, 165 is ideal, but right now I'm sitting on 180. So to me, that's a little bit heavy with about maybe 17, 18% body fat. Bring that body fat down to about 11 to 13%. That still will be better because I'll look skinnier and I'll look more cut and more harder and everything else, you know. So once again, Annie Brown is with us today on a Monday, and it is such a beautiful Monday when Annie Brown joins us, because we definitely love to have her here. So we're going to talk about the college football weekend chaos, the top 12 teams, because back then they used to talk about, just last year it was the top 10 teams, but the CFP has this new format where 12 teams are going to be into the playoffs. And that depends on whether they win their conferences. That depends on how much they win. That depends on the scores that they win by. It's a bunch of different data is formulated into how a team can make it into that 12-team format. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be looking at CFP projections, what we think. Coach is already on the hot seat. That's a good one we're going to be talking about. Annie Brown is going to bring up, because there are several coaches that right now, if things don't turn around, they're going to be gone. It's just, in college football, it's almost zero room for error. I mean, it's almost zero, because they pay these coaches such large amounts of money, and tons of people are relying on the program to be successful and to succeed. So I'm going to just tell you right now, these coaches we'll talk about, and plus several other coaches we'll talk about, they might be on the bubble. We hope not, because we don't want nobody to lose their jobs, but these schools want results. So that's the bottom line. NFL Week 1 drama. There was a lot of teams yesterday. I need to ask Isaah about the Miami Dolphins, because guess what? They got blown out yesterday. 33-8 by the Indianapolis Colts, of all teams. And I respect the Colts, and I respect the Colts faithful. But guess what? We shouldn't be getting slaughtered 33 points by a team like the Colts. And Daniel Jones was starting yesterday. Daniel Jones just got signed by the Colts right before the offseason. I mean, before the season began, actually. And he seemed to have a good day yesterday. I didn't look at his stats, but we'll go over some of that. And we're going to talk about Micah Parsons. That tackle that he made, on Jared Goff. I mean, that effort that he put in, and the brother's wearing number 1. So he is number 1 as far as I see it. And he's a free man now. He can roam, he can rush the passer, he could do what he do, and his bag is in the bank. So we're going to bank on that. So let's get this party started, but I need to check with you, the viewer, and I need to check with Isaah, and I need to find out where the party at.
Right here, baby. It was here yesterday. Last week is going to be here 2026. Join us, baby. Come party with us.
Come party with us. Just come party with us. Even if it's just 3 of us, we'll party together. I mean, it could be 1 million, or it could be 3, or it could be 1, or it could be 2. So thank you for joining our party. Let's get this first topic out from Annie Brown, because she's eager to know what happened with South Florida upsetting Florida in the Swamp. Tell me, Isaah, what's your take on this? Because that don't look good. South Florida has a good team. They have a good program, but they shouldn't have went up into the Swamp and won. So give us some of the variables of how they were able to win that game.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I have a large amount of Gators buddies of mine, and they are livid, man. They pissed off because there's no way in the world South Florida should have came in the Swamp and upset them under no circumstances. It just shouldn't have happened. But, it's just like NFL. It's any given Saturday or Sunday or Friday for high school.
Absolutely.
You never can tell, man. That's why you got to bring it all. You can't be taking other teams lightly. You can't just say, "Oh, these guys are easy one this week, and we'll just lay back and relax." Man, you'll get your feelings hurt the way things are right now. All you gotta do is make a couple mistakes. I seen it last night, even. It was a couple of the national championships, not the national championships, but the NFL games. The same thing happened. You take a team lightly, and you can be run up and down the field. Buffalo last night was just playing behind, and Derek Henry was running up and down the field, up and down, just blowing big ones, and they came up short at the end. So and lost. They missed the extra point, DC, and that extra point came back to haunt them because the score was 41-40. So that means that extra point cost them the
It
game.
mattered.
So that's why I'm telling you.
And you
Yeah,
never
it
take an
mattered.
extra
And
point for granted, right? I mean, you just can't take it for granted. That extra point has to be kicked through
It has
because
to
if you come up
calculate.
short, that just gives somewhat of an advantage to another team to be able to, at the end, the numbers might not look, even, but it just comes out uneven for the team that loses. Now, here's another thing. It looks like they committed 11 penalties for 103 yards. So when a team commit penalties, just take those yards and count against that team. I mean, those are negative yards from the team's average, from the team's yards that they have. Let's just say a team have 450 yards and then you take 103 yards off of that. That matters because football is a game of inches, and football comes down to sometimes inches and especially field position, because a lot of teams and a lot of coaching comes through having the field position advantage where your team is literally starting on the defending team's side of the field a majority of the game or some parts of the game. That matters. So, Isaiah, what do you think about 11 penalties? That to me tells me there's a discipline issue, would you say, with Florida? And Napier is pretty good about making sure his players are disciplined. Tell me about that.
Well, he can be as stern as he can be, being a disciplinarian, but if it don't show on the field, what good is it? I mean, he could talk all the things about being disciplined, but if it don't show on the field, that's totally unacceptable, man. 5 penalties is unacceptable. But
one penalty is
11,
unacceptable. One, to me.
Yeah, one. I mean, you can give them one. You can have a guy miss the count, can't hear, or something like that, and jump off sides, or a guy getting ready to get bombed, and he will hold just because he don't want a guy to pull a 6-pointer on him, and he grabbed the guy and there's a personal, he's a pass interference. Because I'd rather for a pass interference and the guy bomb me.
And let him catch a touchdown. Yeah, that's definitely absolutely.
Yeah, I can understand that.
They teach him that.
11 makes no sense, man. It really point directly at the coach, man. It's meaning a lot, DC. When you got 11 penalties, that means your guys is not focused. They're not, disciplined. They're not, they don't have any self pride to know that you just cannot win with that amount of penalties, because those amount of penalties, it's going to give the opposing team something.
Correct.
Whether it's field position or some scores, it's going to give them something. 11? That's the difference.
That's a lot of penalties. That's a lot of penalties.
A team, and they give you the ball back because they got the punt, or they advance the ball because you gave them a penalty and they got a first down, and they continue to keep your drive alive. So it really means something. And so the team has to be disciplined, because it's a tug-of-war strategy when you're playing football. You got this guy trying to stop you from advancing the ball, and you got to stop them from advancing the ball. And if you're going to freaking hold the guy and give him a first down, they got another set of downs to advance.
That's a good point.
Score out of it.
And you know what? To add to that, it looks like the latter. There was an ejection of a defensive lineman by the name of Brendan Bett for spitting on an opponent. First and foremost, this spitting thing needs to stop. It looks like that happened in the NFL with Dak Prescott, the other day when actually on Thursday night, I believe that the season started, Philadelphia and Dallas. And, that is not acceptable. When you spit on someone, literally you're assaulting them. That's an assault. Literally, because you are it's literally like you laying your hands on someone, to me.
It's the same. It's the same, DC. You actually, if you was out in the street, you'll go to jail for that.
Yeah, you would. I mean, because people don't want you spitting on them, because we don't know who has what. And when you do that, that's just, it should be some type of discipline to encourage people not to do, or discourage, not encourage, but to discourage people from doing that, because that's just not going to be where it's at. I don't care how mad you get on the field. You take that up the next play. I always say that the next play matters. If you want to take that up the next play, you take that up the next play, but you don't spit on anybody. So that penalty right there was a bad sign. I mean, for Florida, technically, and then USF was clutch. I mean, they were executing like crazy. I mean, their execution, the 66-yard touchdown to Keyshawn Singleton late in the third quarter to give them their first lead as far as South Florida was concerned. USF embarked on an 8-play, 87-yard final drive to win the game. Those things, bigger programs, especially like Florida and places like that, they cannot accept that. They cannot allow that to happen. And that's what Billy Napier has to look at right now. He looked very concerned. I mean, I was looking at some of the highlights of the game, and for him to have to deal with that after a game where people come to the Swamp to see the Gators win, they don't come to see them lose, just like any other, stadium. So that's something that he's going to have to be concerned with, and their schedule is not going to get any easier. Florida may kind of undergo some of the transgressions that Florida State went through. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes. Well, I tell you right now, that's a sense of concern. When you let a team that you should just slaughter come in your house and beat you in the Swamp like that, when you got all the student body, you got all the alumni there because everybody eager for the season to start, and you get beat like that. Everybody else had softball games this week. It was the week of the softball games because, the University of Miami, they ran the score up, and Oregon ran the score up. They had all of these softball teams, and I guarantee you when that schedule was together, they was considering themselves to have a softball game too, with but they didn't. They got beat.
That's true.
South Florida beat them. So
that is true.
This is a big, huge blow for them because now you got to find yourself regrouping for the following week. And guess what? What if you lay an egg this coming up week where it's a battle? Man, the head's going to roll. If you don't kind of wiggle your way out of that, you may not make it through the season as a coach, man, because everybody is looking for winners.
Actually, you're right.
How crucial. Yeah, I want to mention how crucial winning is. The first game of the season, DC, Alabama drop an egg with Florida State. And they're already calling for this guy's head. They want to bring Nick back. They want to bring this person back. They want to get rid of him. They don't worry about the buyout. They got owed this man all his money. They don't care. They only care about a win.
That's true.
They want that win on that winning column. They don't care what it takes.
That is so true.
Spoiled. These people are spoiled. 3 games for some football teams will get you fired.
For sure.
3 games, you will get fired, man.
For sure. Fired. So we'll wrap this
game season.
We'll wrap this topic, but I just want to say that the last thing that their schedule is brutal, man. I'm looking at their schedule right now. They got to go to LSU next. They have to go to Miami. They're going to play LSU, Miami back to back. Then Texas is coming to Florida. And then they have to go to Texas A&M, and then Mississippi State is coming to Florida, and then the Georgia-Florida game is going to be the biggest cocktail, at least once the biggest cocktail party in the country for that game. They could potentially. They got to get their game together. They got to get their game together.
They won the week before. They can very well, just judging off that score, that schedule, DC. They could very well be 1-5, bro, or 1-4. They can very well be because I'm just telling you right now, that schedule right there is hardcore.
It's a brutal schedule. I mean, just for them to lose this game against South Florida,
we don't know how their feelings in that locker room is, man, because you can very well get beat like that and you never get a turning point where you turn that thing around, because I cannot see them going to beat LSU. I
don't see it either. I mean, with the way LSU played against Clemson in that first game, yeah, I don't see it.
The way Miami is playing right now, Miami gonna beat them. DC, they got a brutal schedule, man.
You spot on. You button it up that they could easily be 1-5 unless they turn it around and they come through and they can get these games. And it's going to be difficult because they're going to be on the road for some of these games, and then they're going to be they're just going to be under the spotlight. That's all I got to say. And like you say, Napier might not even survive the season if they can't turn it around and get it together, you know. So one last
Miami game, is it here? Is it Miami?
It's in Miami. Yeah. September 20th, they come into Miami. So that'll be a really big game for both teams. But the Canes look good. Do you think University of South Florida is going to be able to do anything with Miami this coming weekend?
Well, we got University of Miami got to show themselves strength. They got to, because think about something. They got to beat these guys and then turn around and play Florida. So they need to nail these guys. They need to not play with them. They need to go out there and put it on them. University of Miami need to go out there and have a great game like they had the very first game. And then, because I don't really, give any whole lot of credence to them beating up on Cookman. Bethune-Cookman.
That's just kind of a game that they can tune up and play their third and fourth stringers and let those youngsters come in and get some playing time, some reps, right?
And Cookman come back with a bag.
Absolutely.
Cookman get paid and go back home and jump on them other teams. But listen, man, Florida. I mean, I like them outside of Miami. I like Florida teams, but I'm a Cane, bro.
Absolutely.
And listen, man, I want to see the Canes put it on them, and South Florida come down here. If they come in here, give them a good whooping too.
They got to get a good whooping. You got to give South Florida a whooping, and let them know that what they did with Florida is not going to be good for Miami. What goes good for the Goose is that's not going to work. It's not going. We ain't going for that. No. We're not going for that. Absolutely. There was several upsets that was really interesting to me. If you look at the Mississippi State win over Arizona State, to me, Arizona State has a solid team, and they have been that way technically since Herm was run out of there, Herm Edwards. I think the coach name is Kenny Dillingham, and he's a superior coach, man. He's young, but I mean, he's one of the best coaches to me in college, especially the young, talented coaches with an offensive background. And for them to go up into Starkville and lose that game to Mississippi State was a little bit stunning to me. What do you take away from that?
We just buttoned it up. I mean, you just don't know. You got to go out there and give it your 100% effort when you're on that field. I don't care who you are playing. If you go in there and you don't give it your all, you go in there and think it's a warm-up game and all that stuff, and you don't get ready for the next week and you just bypass these teams, you will get whooped. You will take a whooping.
That's right.
And guys, I mean, see, that was one of the things, and we talk about him so much. I love Nick Saban, man. And now we see with his absence how important he was to collegiate football.
Right.
Because without him, he set a so high of a bar and such to look up and look forward to. You know, you could take the Georgias and the Auburns and the Ohio States and the Michigans with Harbaugh and the rest of those guys, but Nick Saban had this way of coaching where you have to idolize him as a coach. I mean, he was a very little talkative guy. He didn't want you too much in his business. He had his guys focused. He didn't want no media around him. He didn't want his kids talking to the media. He absolutely didn't want distraction. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is, DC. You can't have no distraction. And all of this stuff has something to do with your field of play. He didn't even want these guys to know just how good they were. He wanted these guys to always think you can be better. You
Correct.
can get better
There
at
was
something.
always room
And
for improvement, right?
that's why he was so good. Because you can go out
Absolutely.
there and have an outstanding game, and he would consider, oh man, we got to do this better. We messed up on this. And that's a perfectionist. He's a perfectionist. And that means your team is going to idolize or either be a product of the head leader and the head coach. And if the head coach do not enforce rules and his philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get beat. You're going to get whooped.
You're gonna get a
And
whooping.
that's the
Yeah.
reason why things are happening like this, because I see, just like with Alabama last week, guys drop a pass, nothing happens to them. Nothing happens to them. And let me tell you something. Drop a pass and let Nick Saban come running through the sideline when
Oh,
Nick
you're gonna
Saban
get
is
it.
there.
You're gonna
He's
get the
going to
business.
jerk you and
Yeah.
push
You're
you
gonna get the
and grab
business.
your clothes and shake you, man. And these guys are now they let these guys drop a pass right in their hands and go sit down on the bench and okay, we'll get them next series. Come on, that ain't you ain't winning like that. So that's why you see these teams make all these mistakes, like with the case of Florida. 11 penalties? 11. It ain't
Especially
no way
with
in
the
the
worst
world.
one being a spitting incident where your player is getting kicked out of the game. I mean, that's the horrible
That's
part
all
about it.
discipline, DC. That's all discipline, man. That's
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
If a player did something on my team, he would not only get ejected from playing that day, he would get suspended from me as a head coach because it hurts the team when you're doing something stupid like that. I can understand to a certain degree when a player is aggressive and he might get a personal foul because he was trying to make the tackle and one of your teammates hit him and bring him down early, and here come you with a little small late hit.
Correct.
But to go spit on a guy, that's all freaking a person who's nutty case. And he don't have no self-discipline.
Right.
You gotta have discipline. You gotta understand you hurting the team. I remember a couple years ago, Tomlin, Pittsburgh head coach, one of the guys he hit the guy back and he got caught. He said, man, what are you doing out there, man? What are you doing when he came to the sideline? Dude, you want to hit the guy back, man? Just think about it. You hit the guy back, you got a penalty. It's not about you. It's about the team. And
That's
that's
right.
what it really
That's
is.
a valid
It's
point.
about the team.
That's a valid
Yep.
point. So yeah, Arizona State, that's a big sidetrack for them. I think they'll recover and they'll be able to, compete still. But however, and I believe Arizona State is in the Big 12 with Colorado and several other teams, Utah and a couple of other teams that are in the Big 12. I believe between Arizona State, to me personally, and Utah and Colorado are going to be kind of vying for that top spot in the Big 12 for that conference. One thing is for sure that one of those teams, they're going to play each other. So they're going to have to knock each other off. And that's one big thing about the SEC is they beat up on each other. And the same with the Big 10. So let me ask you this question, Isaiah. What was your biggest takeaway from the Michigan Oklahoma game? What stuck out to you most about that game that actually Oklahoma was able to dominate the game, especially in the trenches?
Well, Oklahoma took control of the game from the very start. They drove up and down the field, man. My biggest takeaway is the mere fact that Michigan goes in during halftime, comes out smoking.
That's right. That's right.
Smoking.
That's right.
Now drove, got their touchdown, and then went right back to the same crap they was doing in the first half. That was a huge takeaway for me because they just totally lost focus again, man. And they just couldn't get back on track. Oklahoma did pretty much everything they wanted. The quarterback ran at leisure. He had fun. He really had fun. He had fun. He had a lot of fun. He had open receivers. He had a lot of time. He just freaking had holes, gaping holes to run through. And that was a huge, it was like a mixed match, man. It wasn't even like it wasn't even leveled.
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about both has great players, DC.
Right.
Both of them have good coaches. And then if you look at them on paper with the offensive line, they paired off pretty good.
They did.
In terms of their size, they paired off pretty damn good, man. But Oklahoma just nailed those guys and pound those guys in that trenches, and they got it done. And I couldn't see
Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore has got to turn that team around. He's got some work to do. He's got a good team. Don't get me wrong. He's got a really good squad. The defense is solid. From what I could see, the defense is solid. I think they just need to make a few adjustments on offense. And this kid, Bryce Underwood, is a freshman. So I mean, what more do you expect playing his first game under the biggest, in a very hostile environment? And I'm not making excuses for Bryce Underwood. I mean, he should have stepped up according to the plays and the strategy that they had, the game plan that they had. That could have been probably followed a little bit more, to the T. But on the flip side of that, they got outscored technically. I mean, if I'm looking at some of the numbers right now, they had Oklahoma had 22 first downs to Michigan's 12 first downs. That's double. That's double the first downs that Michigan had. So that tells you their offense wasn't on the field as much as Oklahoma's offense was. And then if you look at here, rushing attempts, it looks like they were fairly even, but total yards, Oklahoma had 408 total yards in offense versus Michigan's 288. So that tells you right there, if the defense stays out on the field that long, they're going to get tired.
Yep.
They're going to get tired,
Yeah.
And you can't blame them for that unless you got 3 levels of fresh legs to be running in and out of that game. They're going to get tired. That's just the way it's going to be.
Well, DC, I listened to you when we covered the game, and I'm listening to you right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I want you to do me a favor and quit having excuses for these young players.
I agree with you.
The reason why I say that, DC, the reason why I'm saying that, Michigan is a Division I powerhouse. And if you put a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid at the starting position, don't start whining when he don't produce for you, because that means he's better than everybody else that you have on your team.
Absolutely.
So I'm not giving no excuse.
I'm not going to excuse him.
And what I did, I evaluated during the game when we covered it. I'm looking at all his young mistakes. That's easy to be corrected because I'm going to tell you flat out now, I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think he's going to be
I think he is too. He's going to develop into something
because
special, I believe.
He's going to be special, DC. But what I'm telling you at this point right now, he's got some tweaks that has to be sorted out before he can become great. I can see it. I can see the possibility. I see all the potential. But right now, every rollout throw was either overthrown or short. Every rollout. And guess what? Every time he did that, his receivers was wide open,
Yeah, he missed a
and he
couple
missed
of
the
throws.
pass.
I know, I for sure
Yep.
that I watched directly that he missed some throws, and that was
Yep.
a big deal because when you miss throws, because we were talking about Caden Salter for Colorado with the same way against Georgia Tech, you have to make those throws, and if you can't make those throws, you have to use your legs. You have to do either or, but you have to make a quick decision because we
Yep.
have a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks in this world. People who sit up and
Mm-hmm.
they probably never even played football, but they can tell you what should have been done. I mean, when you're out on that
Mm-hmm.
field and you take that snap and you see all of these 11 guys rushing you, or you see 5 or 6 guys rushing you, and the rest of them are spreading the field, it's a difference with that. So I try not to be too, harsh on some of the things that we see, but some of the things we see also too, they have to follow through with as a quarterback, because a quarterback is the brain and the dynamic of the offense, and that technically runs the team because the offense is the one that scores, generally speaking. So one thing is for sure, Oklahoma is going to have to play some tough games coming up, as well as we talked about Florida. I'm looking here. It looks like they got a date with Auburn on September 20th. Auburn is coming to town. And one thing is about Auburn is I was pretty much thinking that Hugh Freeze was going to get run out of Auburn. It doesn't look like it, especially with that first win over Baylor. Auburn looks very impressive. They look very impressive. And it looks like they're going to have to play Texas in that Red River rivalry, and they're going to have to play South Carolina at South Carolina. That's going to be a tough game for them to win because South Carolina's got a good team. Ole Miss goes to Oklahoma, and Lane Kiffin's team, they actually beat Kentucky on the road on Saturday. So
Yeah.
their road built. I mean, they're built tough to travel, and then Oklahoma has to go to Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee is definitely going to be a solid team, and then they play Alabama at Alabama. And Missouri is coming to town, and then LSU is going to visit them in Oklahoma. So we'll see. Do you think they're for real, or do you think it's just like one of them things where they were just able to handle Michigan?
Well, I think they're for real because Michigan didn't come in there to lose. They just got outplayed and outcoached. Michigan played a decent game, but they just got outmanned in that interior line. They just got manhandled. And of course, when it came to on a defensive level, they had the quarterback running for his life. And he would
Absolutely.
roll out and miss passes. So Oklahoma is not a fluke. They got a really good squad over there, man. And the quarterback got a great arm. He know how to run the ball. He know how to get out the way. He know how to read defenses. They're for real, and I can see them win a lot of games this year, man. They're going to be in
I
probably
can
top five
I can too. And
throughout the whole year.
Brent Venables is outstanding, man. I have nothing but accolades for Brent Venables because he is a damn good coach. He understands
Mm-hmm.
these kids. He cares about his kids at Oklahoma. He has a really good program there, and it looks like he's going to be there for a while. I don't think he's going anywhere. However, I'm going to make a bold prediction to you right now. In that Red River rivalry, John Mateer is going to be dangerous for Texas. And Texas is, to me, has the number one defense in the country. I don't know if they're ranked number one as a defense, but to me personally, Texas has got the best defense in the country from what I saw from last year on into this first game when they went to Ohio State. I'm going to make a prediction that if Texas shuts down John Mateer, they're going to win that game. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll see because I think that Texas has a good team, but that quarterback, little Manny had a good
Arch.
season. I mean, a good game. Yeah, Archie had a great game this past week, but the week before that, he was throwing air balls everywhere. So
Right,
we'll
against
see.
Ohio
I want
State.
to see I want to see some consistency. I mean, everybody could have a good game, one game, but the show off that a quarterback is really, really on par, he's got to have a good game against good teams week in and week out. And that's my way of evaluating quarterbacks. You got to step up when the big games come. You can't be just playing through the motions and making a bunch of mistakes like he did when he came over to Ohio State, because Ohio State exposed him, really exposed him, and he kind of rebounded this past week. But I want to see him continue to do that throughout the season.
Well, it's circled on my calendar because to me, this is one of the biggest games of the year because this is going to determine who's going to be in control, I think, personally, of the SEC more so West than anything else. Because you look at Oklahoma and you look at Texas, they're both, geographically pretty close. I mean, Oklahoma sits right up on top of Texas. The thing is I just feel like Arch is going to arrive for this game, and he's going to step up for this game because Texas can't afford to lose 2 games and be a contender for the national championship. Yeah. They can't afford it. They're going to be playing with their backs against the wall. That's all I'm saying. So I'm predicting, and I'm going to go ahead and make the bold prediction now. Texas is going to win against Oklahoma. I don't know the score, but I'm going to make a bold prediction, and all due respect to Brent Venables and that Oklahoma team and that defense and John Mateer, stud of a quarterback that he is. I just think Texas defense is not going. Michigan's defense ain't like Texas's defense. They're going to be in there on him, and they ain't going to miss tackles, and they ain't going to be grabbing and diving like I saw on Saturday, right? So I'm going to make that bold prediction. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm just making a prediction based on some of the analytical stuff that I looked at and I'm seeing, and just the averages of which team can afford to lose. And Texas cannot afford to lose. Oklahoma probably could afford to lose and move on and still be a contender. But Texas cannot drop this second game to no other team in the SEC. That's all I'm saying. So, anyway.
Let me tell you this. If listen to me, if Oklahoma played them like they did Michigan, man, little Manny gonna be running for his life.
Both quarterbacks are gonna be running for their life.
I'm telling you, we'll see. We will see. And my prediction is Oklahoma gonna be victorious.
Okay. Well, you're making a prediction, and I'm making a prediction, and that's all that matters. If you look at it. So Texas finished in the top 5 nationally last year, and a top 10 team in defensive stop rate. Okay, so that's a big deal right there. Now,
don't even bring up last year, DC. Come on.
Okay,
man.
well, I'm just building a narrative here. I'm just building a narrative.
Building nothing. They don't have the same players from last year. The quarterback is here in Miami, and you got little Archie in there. He's the one that's in the helm now.
Okay.
They don't even have same players.
Absolutely. So we'll find out. We're going to both circle our calendars, and me, you, and Najee will be covering that one more than likely because that's going to be a big deal. That's in the Cotton Bowl. That's a big game. It's kind of like the Georgia-Florida game. So Oklahoma has been very successful against Steve Sarkisian's teams. Venables beat Steve Sarkisian when he had Dylan Gabriel as his starting quarterback at Oklahoma before he transferred to Texas. Before he transferred to Oregon. So we'll see how that plays out. So let's talk a little bit about Oregon blowing out Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, we don't see that team a lot. I've watched Oklahoma State over the years. They've always had competitive teams. Mike Gundy is a good coach. I'm not saying that he's a bad coach or anything. I'm just saying that for you to take a 69-3 drubbing from the University of Oregon, to me, that is kind of very embarrassing. What would you say about that? Because he's coached some really good players coming through that program, but he's been there for almost 20 years. And do you think it's time for him to go?
Yeah. Once you start getting beat like that, because he didn't even have a good, successful season last year. Once you start getting beat like that and you still think you are a good coach and you don't think time has passed you by, maybe you need to change positions and go somewhere else and see if you can have a brand new start. Because I'm going to tell you flat out, this guy got hammered And Oregon just was out having fun, man. And
They
they
ran the
just
score up on
embarrassed them,
them. I
man.
mean, Oregon ran the score up on them.
Man.
They have a phenom quarterback, Dante Moore. He initially signed with UCLA and then he transferred to Oregon. But there ain't no rhyme or reason why Oklahoma State should allow them to put that many points on the board against them. Period. Not at all.
You talking about scoring almost every possession when you run up that score like that. And that means you're not stopping anybody, man.
That's right.
It's embarrassing. You imagine how many rear ends was in the seats at the end of that game where they're watching their team get demolished and they just go home. I mean, it's just hard to fathom you getting beat like that. And then of course the season was already at a low last year, and now they're getting beat throughout the early part of the season the following year.
69 points. 69 points.
Evaluate being there, man. Yeah. I don't see how in the world the boosters can let this guy sit there and get a maul like that and still have a job. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's going to have to do a lot of make a lot of adjustments, because if he doesn't, I don't think he will survive it either. I mean, it looks like I'm reading an article here and they say his time might be running out at OSU. I mean, and OSU, he's been solid. I mean, his name never surfaced during the last 20 years, at least to my knowledge. His name never really surfaced as being on the bubble. Let's just say that.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately? Like means, what have you done for me this very next weekend, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you play a football game, you're going to have to play to win. You're not going to play to lose. You're going to be playing to win. That's just not acceptable.
He's been there for 20-something years. It's not a lot of coaches that's been in the position that they're in for 20 years, DC. If you just look around college, pro, you don't see that many coaches that's been there for 20-something years. I mean, he need a change. They might have to force him to change.
Right. They might do that. I mean, because I think they reworked his contract last year. The school didn't want to pay him to a point where they actually reworked his contract so the school wasn't going to be on the hook for so much more money. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Right.
That means that they don't have any faith in him. If he keeps stomping his toe, out of here. When they started rearranging your contract and put it in incentives driven, they not too cool with you no more, man. Because
that's right.
I've seen contracts get rewritten to give you an advancement, give you more time, give you more money. But to start putting incentives in your contract, that's almost like putting a guy on probation.
Yeah, somewhat, and it is somewhat of a type of probation. I mean, they're telling you, look, improve. You need to improve. Yeah. If you can't improve, then we got to make some other choices. We got to make some other decisions.
DC, remember that happened here in Miami with Mark Ricks when they tried him like that?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. And they were basically, I think they called Mark Rick in for an improvement plan. They wanted to come in and go over an improvement. Yes. And Mark Rick was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Are you talking to me about a freaking improvement plan? Man, I'll bail out of here. I don't need to be here." He didn't need to be there. He was just there to help his alma mater get back on track. But fate is something else, man, because fate runs in sequences and it runs in patterns where fate creates certain opportunities for certain situations, for programs, for individuals, for groups, and everything worked itself out having Mario Cristobal come back to Miami. So I'm so happy that the fate worked out like it did, because Mario Cristobal is back in Miami, and that's all that matters. He's a homegrown talent, Christopher Columbus High School, and some greats went to Christopher Columbus High School. You look at Highsmith, Alonzo Highsmith. He played at, and by the way, Alonzo Highsmith was one of the best linebackers in the state and in the country. They flipped Alonzo Highsmith over to fullback, and technically when he got to University of Miami, and he was just equally as strong as a running back / fullback.
Don't you know he used to run back punts, man?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember he used to run back punt.
Biggest, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he did. He did. So we'll find out, and we're going to keep an eye on Billy Napier. We're going to keep an eye on Mike Gundy. We're going to keep an eye on Kalen DeBoer. And there's other coaches that's going to come into the mix because the season is just getting started. We're only in the second, week of the season. Man, college football, to wake up on a Saturday or even a Friday, but to wake up on a Saturday and watch College Game Day. I mean, man, I am so blessed. We are all so blessed, especially if you like college football, because there's no other place than to be home on Saturday or at a sports bar or wherever you are to watch college football. Right. It's just going to only get better and better and better and better, So winding down, do you think Bill Belichick is going to have a decent season with North Carolina, or you think they're just going to float through the season and have an average season at best?
He's going to continue to get whooped.
Why would you say that? Give us an excuse or an example. Why would he get whooped?
DC, listen, man. He's old. He's out of touch. He's got
now. Don't you discriminate against age now, because we're all getting there.
I said old as in his game is
I
old.
see. I'm glad you clarified that, because we're all getting old and gray. Trust me.
We're not talking about him getting to be into his golden years. We're talking about his coaching is old, man. His play calling.
You mean his coaching philosophy is considered old? That's what you're talking about?
It's considered to be antique blue tag. Once you become an antique in the state of Florida, they'll give you a blue tag to put on the back of your car that says the antique. That's him. He need a blue tag because that's their colors anyway.
Go easy on him.
Yeah, man. Can't go easy on him. Know why? Because he brings some ready-made distraction when he got there. He's got a 20-something-year-old girlfriend, and he's 80.
He's up there in age, for sure.
He's up there, man. And the thing is, you bring in an older guy like that who's been coaching in the NFL with grown people, and he's got to deal with children now. And these children are richer than the grown people who was in the NFL to a certain degree.
True.
And I listened to his press conferences. You don't move these young kids the way he speak and how he interact with them, man. He don't. I can see that guy dropping 5-6 games. Well, I can see that.
Well, I have to agree with you to a certain level with that, because and by the way, he's 73 years old and with a 20-something-year-old girlfriend. So I wanted to clarify that to make sure that age was spot on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I exaggerated, about his age, but I say 80. Who can be 80? I'm just saying he's getting up there in age, but not taking away his age, because his age has nothing to do with his coaching philosophy.
That's true.
Because if he's digging down, seeing what's going on in the street, and totally reevaluating his play calling and the way he does things, moderate stuff like, keeping things up to date with what's going on with the youth. If he's doing that, he'll be fine. But I don't think he got the capability of doing it. I think he's too stubborn to do it. I think he's going to, especially when a guy who used to win all the time, he's still trying to win off stuff he was doing with Brady, man. And that's not going to work now.
True. It's not going to work at the college level. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because you have all of these. In order to run a college program, it's a little bit different from the NFL. The NFL it's two different type of organizations that you're trying to manage, because for one thing, in college, you got to go out and recruit. You got to get people and players interested to come play at your school. And you got to have a decent program to do that. So I'm sure Mac Brown is sitting at home on the couch like he was in that first game and just saying, see, I told you so. I'm sure he gained some satisfaction from that, to watch that team take the field first game of the year, and to watch TCU come in there and get that business handled at home in front of a sold-out crowd. Belichick's son is the defensive coordinator, Steve Belichick. So it's a family affair, right? Just like Sly Stone said about Belichick.
It's a family affair.
That's right.
It's a family affair.
It is. So looking at their schedule right now, that Clemson game, I don't see them getting through Clemson. I don't see them getting through. They have a pretty decent schedule, but the Clemson and the Duke and the NC State, I'll be willing to say that they're not going to get past them games. And then they got to go to UC. They're at UCF, University of Central Florida. That might be a difficult game for them as well. Because Central Florida's got a pretty good team.
I think they're going to get whooped.
You think they're going to get a good whooping?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, now, Andy Brown, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL because the NFL, they kicked it off technically on Thursday with Dallas losing to Philadelphia. Philadelphia looked a little bit flat here and there, but Saquon is Saquon. Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith is Devonta Smith. They're going to be fine with the Eagles. It is just one of the first games of the year. Now, on the flip side of that, Dallas looked pretty good. I mean, with the exception of CeeDee Lamb dropping 4 critical, crucial passes, that might have been a more competitive game in terms of who could have won and who could have lost, right? Dak Prescott was not the culprit with this particular loss. A lot of people like to blame Dak Prescott, and I don't follow Dak Prescott. I don't have any kind of idea about him being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But however, he did pretty good in that game. Now, getting to the NFL weekend yesterday, there was some disappointments, and you have to help me understand some of the disappointments by starting out with the Miami Dolphins. What happened to the Miami Dolphins? I'm just trying to figure out what happened. Help me understand.
The Dolphins is so unpredictable, man. I love them to death. And, when I go out there and see what they got going on, I get so hyped. I get so thrilled about saying, wow, man. And how we love Najee dearly, but
he's going to be all over you when he gets back. Man. He's going to be all over you for sure. He's going to be all over you. When I
was out there a couple of weeks ago, parading around the stadium, going over there and covering things over there, and then he was messing with me that day about don't get so excited and they ain't going to do nothing but what they do all the time. And it's just difficult to just listen to him say that stuff. And now to see it come
into fruition, right?
No, man, this is going to be the year. No, man, they're going to be okay. No, they got all the pieces in the places now. We got a good receiving core, good set of running backs and everything. And then when they get beat like this, you're like, what? Damn. But I just don't understand, man. And I see the organization trying their hardest to bring in good talent, and they made coaching changes and stuff, when they thought they should have. And they just cannot put everything together and just move and have a good, successful season. And I mean, last year they didn't even make it to the playoffs. So I'm still rooting for them. I'm going to do that. I'm just a lifetime Dolphin fan.
You're a 305 guy.
Yes, without a doubt.
You're a 305 guy. Die hard to the heart.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong to be a 305 guy because at the end of the day, that's where you were born, raised, and you still live. So I can understand that 110%. So I'm looking at here, and it was technically Daniel Jones versus Tua when it came to stats and yards. If you look at the numbers and the breakdowns, Daniel Jones had more yards passing than Tua did. So Daniel Jones passed for 272 yards. He was 22 out of 29 for 272 yards, one TD, no interceptions. He had an 87.6% QBR in this game. And that makes Daniel Jones look good because he's had a tough time since he left the Giants, because he had a very turbulent career at the Giants in terms of his playing and his, him being traded away and all of that stuff. Looks like Tua was 14 of 23, 114 yards for one TD, but 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions is very problematic, from what I could see here. And 3 for 13 sacks, and his QBR didn't look good at all. And it looks like Zach Wilson played in the game as well. I mean, Zach Wilson is the backup quarterback.
How many sacks?
Well, it says 3 out of 13 sacks, so I think he took 3 sacks. I want to say that's what that means. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine him getting 13 sacks.
No, he didn't get 13 sacks. It's just the average of how many times that, he got sacked out of the times that, he attempted to run the play or to run the pass play, So that doesn't look good. And I don't know what Mike McDaniel has to do to get that team ready to play, but he's going to have to do it, and he's going to have to do it fast because, it's not going to be pretty for the rest of the season. They could easily end up down at the bottom with the Jets.
I surely hope they straighten this thing out, man, because they just did so much. I mean, if you just look at the teams across the league, the Dolphins really did some transitional, fixes to their stadium, to the practice facility, to upgrade so many things, to have the kids and the players as comfortable with family, because they're surely into family from what I can see. They got like a playground for the family. If you were a Dolphin and you came to practice, you could bring your wife and kids. They got so much to do for them.
Sure.
And it's like a really nice
family-oriented type of organization.
Yes, and it's beautiful, man. And I don't know who else goes to that extreme to have something go right as the Miami Dolphins, in terms of family-oriented type of stuff they have at the facilities. And then, of course, they got, the hospital situation is there, and it's just nice. The facility is very nice. And
I'm sure it is. But Stephen Ross is a class act owner. Stephen Ross is one of the classiest owners in the league, by the way. Yeah. So I could see why they have all of those, extra amenities and those extra, luxuries on the facilities grounds, and children's playground. I mean, the players can leave their kids, the babysitting type of thing that the teams have. Yeah. So that was one of the most concerning losses to me out of all of the scores. Now let's talk a little bit about that Baltimore-Buffalo game, because you did watch that one and you basically covered that game. Tell us a little bit about what you picked up from that game, from the very start of the game to the very end of the game, where Buffalo's kicker ran onto the field with almost 0 seconds left and kicked the field goal.
Man, the Ravens thought they had that game in the bag, DC.
Did they?
They really did. I'm going to tell you flat out, man, they never think they was going to get no whooping, because Derek Henry was running like a wild man. He broke a big one. He hit a couple 30-yarders, and he just was on his game, man. And he was hitting the hole, and he was coming through the hole. He was running outside. He did everything until the last quarter. Guess what he did? Fumble.
One
And
big mistake. One huge mistake.
Buffalo Bills got the ball, scored, and the Ravens missed their extra point. And then Buffalo got the ball back, drove down the field because the Ravens could not stop them, and they kicked the field goal and won.
I watched the field goal part and I just shook my head. I couldn't believe it because, you know,
so
if you control a game throughout the game and then you turn around and lose on a field goal, a 1 point difference in a game, I mean, I'm sure that's just, it churns my stomach to think about it. And I'm not even a part of the team. Can you imagine how John Harbaugh and all of those guys felt? I mean, having to get back on that plane and go back to Baltimore, you know, from that situation, man, I'm pretty sure it was a quiet airplane, more than likely.
Let me tell you this, man. Derek Henry, I admire him because I was a running back. I love his strength. I love his workout regimens and all this stuff. This is the first time that I've seen it. Now, I'm not going to say he was a sore loser or his conduct was unsportsmanlike, but dude, he ran the locker room after the game. I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't interact with any of the players. No,
man, he was so torn because it happens twofold, in my opinion. I think he was embarrassed because he fumbled, in which that's just a part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's human. He's human. Come on. I mean, I'm not making an excuse for him. But
when you run with a reckless abandonment like he was doing last night, and then all of a sudden you drop the ball and they get it and go out there and score on you, and then that's causing, in his opinion, may have caused them the game because he dropped the ball. It bothered him, man. I watched him. His body language too. He was hoping that they got an opportunity to go over there and either score another bits of points with a field goal or something like that, or his defense stop him. And his defense just could not stop the Bills, man. The Bills just drove down the field. They was plucking these little hitch passes just like this, driving down the field and got in field position. And it was like, wow, man. And it didn't take them a long time to do it. I mean, they had like a minute and change, and they drove down the field, kicked that field goal, and went 1 point ahead. And that extra point that they missed came back to bite them in the rear end. That's
absolutely
the game in a nutshell.
Absolutely. Yep. Most people don't realize how it's just football, or any sport for that matter, but mainly football in the pro football ranks, that it's just that you have to finish a game. You have to finish a game and close it out. I mean, if you can't finish it and close it out, there's always room for another team, especially if they've hung around. If you kept them around and let them hung around, they can respond to that and they can score and they can possibly kick a field goal or whatever else they could do, a 2-point conversion. I'm just giving you examples of what could happen. You have to close these games out. I'm pretty sure Derek Henry feels awful about what happened with that fumble. But, you know, if you look at his upside versus his downside, there is no downside that I can find. I mean, he has more upside than any other running back in the league right now, as far as I'm concerned. So they'll regroup.
You think about his pride. And the guy is a winner. When you think about a guy who's been on national championship teams and he's got his way of doing some things, and if you look at his workout regimen, this guy, he's just a winner.
He's turning over Tonka truck tires. I mean, flipping them over and stuff, and that tire probably weighed 1,200 pounds a ton. Yeah. Dragging stuff up the hill and down the hill. Yeah, it's crazy. His workout regimen is crazy.
In his hand too, the football in his hands while he's running up a hill with things tied around his waist.
That's right. So I think we're looking at a preview of a possibility of the AFC Conference Championship. I'm just saying this right now because there's other teams in the AFC. I don't see Kansas City being as effective as they were last year, especially they went to Brazil 5,000 plus miles away to get beat by the Chargers. No discredit to the Chargers, and no shade on the Chargers because they got a good team. They got some good athletes on that team. And they better watch out for the Chargers, as a matter of fact. I mean, the AFC is going to be put on notice with the Chargers. The Chargers ain't nothing to play with right now. And they're kind of the best kept secret in the AFC West. And I'm telling you, if the Chargers get on a run, they may have an opportunity because they got Jim Harbaugh as a coach. And I think Jim Harbaugh deserves a lot of credit. He came in and turned that team pretty quick from what that team was before he got there. So to have, Justin Herbert as the quarterback and have those receivers and to have Najee Harris as a running back, the Chargers is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm going to make a prediction about the Chiefs. I believe this is Andy Reid's last year. I don't see him pursuing anything past this year. That's just my take on it for Andy Reid for the Kansas City Chiefs. But as far as a preview of the AFC conference, I'm looking at Baltimore possibly going up against the Buffalo Bills. And this game could determine, based on how many games each team loses from here on out, who's going to be home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So if Baltimore got to go back to Buffalo, they're going to have to finish it out. They're going to have to take care of their business and give Buffalo the business in Buffalo if that's what it takes, or in Baltimore. Now, it looks like some of the stats here, Lamar Jackson was 14 of 19 for 209 yards and 2 TDs. Josh Allen was 33 out of 46, 394 yards, 2 TDs. Wow. So it looks like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson is going to be a head-to-head deal again for the most valuable player. I don't see any other player stepping in front of them if they stay on the current, schedule of what they're doing in each game. Yeah. Now, rushing yards, Derrick Henry was 18 for 169 yards, 9 yards average.
I thought he was going to get 200 yards.
He could have. More than likely, he could have.
I really thought he was going to get 200 yards because he got those bulk of those yards early because he bust a long run.
He had a 49-yard run. It looks as though here he had a 49-yard run. So that's impressive. 2 TDs. Baltimore is going to be ultra competitive. Now, Lamar Jackson was 6 carries for 70 yards. That's pretty impressive as well. However, Josh Allen, he rushed for 30 yards out of 14 attempts. So these are the two teams we're going to have to watch. And I know Najee he's a Baltimore guy. I mean, he follows the Baltimore Ravens, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I'm a real. Well, I can't say too much about that game because my Dolphin got smoked, so they got a good whooping. So
they got a good whooping, huh?
Yeah. I can't mess with them about that Raven ordeal.
Exactly. So Andy Brown has got another one here, and let's talk a little bit about Micah Parsons. Been just traded to the Green Bay Packers. The brother wearing number 1 right now for edge rusher. I haven't seen an NFL edge rusher wear that type of number before, right? I mean, usually edge rushers, they wear anything from the 70s on into, from the 50s. The 50s on into the 90s, right? That's generally what edge rushers numbers are. But Micah Parsons is telling you he is number 1. And he is number 1 because he made the best decision of his life to hold out with Jerry Jones and go and get his bag, which is the most, for a non-quarterback, it's the most lucrative bag in the history of the NFL for right now. And if you look at the bigger picture, this brother is pocketing $130 million guaranteed money. Think about that. Did you see that play yesterday where he chased down Jared Goff for a tackle? Jared Goff scrambled and he bootlegged out toward the sideline, and Micah Parsons came from the opposite. He came from the long end of the edge and chased him down and got that tackle. That tells you right there how Green Bay's season is going to look with him healthy. As long as he can stay healthy, I think he's on point, and he's going to get those sacks. And I know he's got Dallas circled on his calendar for sure because he wants to let Jerry know that, look, you made a mistake. You had your pride. You got your pride. You're a billionaire, but I got my money. I got my bag. Tell me a little bit about what you think about that.
Well, it's going to be a game where he's going to try to play his very best because one thing a player don't like when you just push them off like they're not nothing and they're not important and we can replace you. So he's going to go out there and have a big game and show him, man, you messed up. And Jerry played him. And he's got to be offended about that, man, because you bring a guy in, you promise a guy something, he brings his agent in because this is all alleged stuff that,
Right. Right.
now his agent is involved. Now you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to pay the guy anymore because his agent is involved. What the hell? The agent's supposed to be involved. So you couldn't come to no agreement. Then you start looking at past contracts that you felt like these guys didn't produce for you. So you don't want to get nailed again. And I thought all along he would be making a huge mistake if he didn't sign Parson because first of all, you got a guy who absolutely was like killing folk last year.
Sure.
And he was one of the top defensive players. And then he's on your team and you know good and well defenses win championships.
Absolutely.
And you acquire trying to build a team to win a championship and you let the best guy leave your squad. I mean, I just want to see him maul the damn Cowboys. I just want him to have a beautiful, huge game against them, man, because you just let a guy walk away who's the best defensive player in the league. And it's a going rate, DC.
Mm-hmm.
When you paying these guys, it's like the going rate for superstars. This guy is a
like in the
superstar.
NBA, it's the same thing. I mean, that's the league. I mean, basically, that's the league minimum based on what their value is. Yep. And that's how you have to pay them. You can't be trying to shortchange people because you feel like they might not meet your criteria for what you perceive as a decent, offer to someone as opposed to what they feel like they're worth, if that makes sense. Especially playing a brutal sport like football where one play you can end your career and you can be done. You might not ever play again. So you might not ever even walk again. Who knows? But I know one thing, you need to pay these players based on their performance, and Micah Parsons proved in the short amount of time that he was in Dallas that he was worthy of a very lucrative contract. I don't know, I'm not going to throw a number out there, but I know Green Bay jumped to get him before any other team that I heard was mentioned. Green Bay just jumped right in and got him,
because they know what quality of player he is. See, one thing that Jerry Jones was trying to pattern himself as, when Deshaun Watson got all that guaranteed money, Jerry Jones was the first guy that spoke out totally against giving guaranteed money. And here these players want to secure themselves having guaranteed money because, okay, I'm going to give you all my goods. I'm going to go out there and play my rear end off of you. And if I get hurt, okay, buy you some insurance on me because I want guaranteed money. And he don't like doing that because he feel like, okay, this is a brutal sport. Guy tear a rotator cuff, he can't throw. A guy tear a knee, he can't run. Tear Achilles, he might be out for a season. And he's starting to look at this more and more and more when it comes to these guys' contract, and he don't want to give them guaranteed money. But guess what? It's just like a pretty girl coming down the street. Oh, she's beautiful. But then again, there's another one. So if one don't talk to you, the next one don't talk to. And that's what happened to Jerry. He didn't give the guy what he wanted. The next guy stepped up. So now it's his loss. And that's what I think. This guy going to have a big game against them.
Oh, absolutely. Micah Parsons is going to showcase his talents in that Dallas game, I believe. And with all due respect to all of the players at Dallas, because I don't have any problem with the players, they're the messengers. I got a problem with Jerry Jones, or issue. I'm not going to say a problem, but I take issue with the way he looks at things from the perspective of, and it's his team. He's got every bit of reason to feel that way. But you're going to continue to lose, or you're going to continue not to make the playoffs, or you're going to continue not to get to the Super Bowl since Playmaker and all of them was there. Just keep down that road, and that's where it's going. I mean, there's nothing going to change unless you change it, and you have to change it through certain dynamics and certain elements if you own a team like he does.
One thing I can vouch for him on that though, DC. when they were winning championships like that, with the exception of the one that Barry Switzer had, they had Jimmy Johnson there, and he trusted Jimmy Johnson as a defender, as a defensive mind type of coach.
Right.
And he picked the players that Jimmy wanted. They were buddies anyway, and he trusted his intellect on these players. Now he's forced to just evaluate these players himself. And guess what? He's wrong. He's wrong, man. And he's not getting what he needs. He want to win a championship, but he don't have the fortitude to think this thing through and get the type of people that he want. One thing I want to say, Jimmy Johnson was a psychologist, so he know how to pick these players. And then once he got them there, he can play psychological games with these guys to bring the best out of these players. Jerry don't have that, man. Jerry just a guy who want to be a figurehead.
He wants to be in front of the camera. He wants to get all the attention on the team.
That's
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you look at most owners out of the 32 owners, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure there's some other owners that think like that, but I have never seen the other 31 owners, at least from my perspective, get in front of the camera as much as Jerry Jones has gotten in front of the camera. And that's Jerry Jones's prerogative. I don't care what he does.
He loves it, though.
He loves it. That's what he loves. That's what he wants to do. That's his team. That's his prerogative. However, when you bring that amount of attention to yourself, you're taking attention away from your team in a sense where I'm talking about more so the performance of the team on the field.
It's that distraction we talked about.
It's a distraction as far as I'm concerned. And if his son Stephen Jones ends up ever running the team, I would hope, on his behalf, that he looks at it a little bit differently and takes a different approach to it if he wants that team to be successful from the perspective of getting to the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, anyway, one more Andy Brown topic, and this is a hit-home topic. I think, it's something that we both can absorb and take in. Andy Brown wants us to talk about Ray Lewis and his comments about Shannon Sharpe, because I think it's important, as well as Annie said that she thought it was important, that we get this out in the open from our perspective on what actually happened, what was said, and the outcome of the whole thing. So let me ask you this question. Should Ray Lewis had made that comment about Shannon Sharpe specifically, or should he kept it more generalized?
I think he should have kept his mouth shut to the general public. I mean, in his feelings toward it, because from what I can understand and see in the past, they were pretty good friends. And I think friends, even if you fall out with them and but you still like them, you pick up their phone and you holler at them one-on-one. But that getting that on the social media and marginalize a person off his content, because that's his job. That's his job, and that's his company, some of that stuff that he owns. And you go run that thing the best way you see fit. And if you using profanity on there, if you got different guests that's on there that you don't approve of, if you're drinking on there, that's his audience. So why you gonna demonize a person because of the audience that he had? He built the audience because of the content, and if you don't like his content, just don't deal with him because of his content. But to go out personally and publicly and say stuff like that, I don't see. It's not just him. There's a bunch of these guys using alcohol on their show. I mean, our show's supposed to be what our show is a family-oriented show. We want everybody involved. We want everybody to be family members. And a 5-year-old kid can listen to our show. I use profanity every now and then, but it ain't malice type of stuff.
Correct.
The way Shannon Sharpe is running his show, that's just him. That's his show. And I just think it's immoral when you do a guy like that and don't talk to him personally if he was your friend. I think it sounds like a tad of jealousy involved and all of that stuff, man. So it just don't look right for a guy to throw those kind of stones at a guy, especially when he had a checkered past himself. You know, he had some family issues, he had legal issues, and all that stuff. He stayed sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost. Now he throwing stones. Don't do that, man. Why you throwing stones because you live in a certain way in this guy? If anything, call him on the phone and say, listen, man, come to church with me. Do that. But to get out there and chastise and marginalize that guy's show, I don't see how holy that could be.
I agree.
Talk to the man and talk about his show like that, call him on the phone. And if he don't listen to you, just don't deal with him no more. But to try to downplay this man's show like as if, why he go that route? I remember he didn't even drink. I don't drink. I don't smoke. But nobody might not come my face
that's Shannon Sharpe's prerogative. I mean, whatever he wants to do with his life, that's on him. That's not for anybody else to judge. So here's the quote right here. According to this, on the PBD podcast, Ray Lewis voiced his disapproval of Shannon Sharpe's current media direction. He made it clear he's not surprised that Sharpe's popular, but he is shocked at his content, especially shift toward gossip-driven, sensational topics. And, quote, Lewis framed this as a moral divergence. I wouldn't in a million years. The things that Shannon has said now, I can't go that route, because becomes so worldly that you become popular because you're talking about ignorance. Everybody wants to be popular, but that's a tightrope into what you call influence and popularity. The devil has the ability to make you popular. I think we've overrode what the platform is actually for. So in other words, Ray is saying that, look, he's presenting himself as someone to uplift and teach instead of to gossip and to talk about, different types of topics that might not be interesting to certain groups of people or certain individuals, correct?
Yeah. DC, just think about this. Just think about a musical artist. And I used this reference before. If you see a certain degree of talent as an artist, 90% of artists who, whether they're a pop singer or a rapper or you do underground stuff, whatever the case may be, most of the time, I say 95% of the time, the record companies have total control of your content. If you're not calling the girl B and all this kind of stuff as a rapper, you're behind going flop. The moment you start marginalizing, talking stupid, you blow up.
Exactly.
But, the second hand of that, just look at the situation with Pitbull. He came out, he had goals everywhere. He was totally locked up. And his career would have been in the tank by now. So somebody got him and said, come here, dog. Got him in there, throwed him on some of Marty's suits. Money suit, then cut his hair off.
That was the game changer. That was a game changer for Pitbull.
Game changer.
Total game changer.
Because he was just now the guy is drifting on the stage, rapping and all this type of stuff, and he's still making money. He would have been done 10, 15 years ago if he would have kept that gangster rap jump going. Because it ain't nobody else doing that the way he was doing it now. It just totally changed. But now he's dancing, he's doing all kinds of stuff with his EDM type of form of music, and it's beautiful, and he's making money still.
Absolutely.
Most of these guys are broke. They're working and going at a warehouse, picking up,
driving a forklift or something.
Yeah. They're stocking grocery, or they're trying to freaking con somebody out of something, identity theft and stuff like that.
That's possible.
So
sure.
Why are you picking at a man? That's one thing I don't do, man. I am not demonizing no guy of how he's making money. I mean, he ain't out there committing no crime. So leave him alone.
Look, Shannon Sharpe, he discovered the perfect platform. I mean, in other words, he found his niche. And if you find your niche, as long as your niche is not illegal and you're not breaking any laws, or you're not some people might perceive it as being a moral, law. I mean, in terms of morality, but it's a ton of people out there that don't have any morality. I could keep naming them off and keep going with that. However, if a person find their niche and they're doing something and they're earning money, especially now, here's the thing that I have issue with. Him and Shannon Sharpe were pretty close when they were at the Ravens. When Shannon Sharpe signed with the Ravens, and he was one of the reasons Shannon Sharpe signed with the Ravens, because Shannon Sharpe could have went to another team, but he signed with the Ravens because of Ray Lewis, or at least the perception of it was because he wanted to be in an environment around players like Ray Lewis. Let's just say that. Don't put that man down. And I thought he came back pretty good and pretty responsibly by saying that, look, I ain't got nothing bad to say about it. I mean, people try to kick me when I'm down, but according to Shannon Sharpe's quote is, I got nothing bad to say. It's low-hanging fruit. There are a lot of people talking, a lot of people taking your shot at your boy. Everybody wants to get a lick now because when your boy was doing good, a lot of people didn't have a whole lot to say. Well, that explains the whole thing, right?
Yeah, DC, and also I think that's disheartening to Shannon Sharpe, man, because
it is.
Whenever football has been such a good vessel for me as a person.
It builds character. It builds confidence. It builds a lot of things.
It builds so much stuff for you, man.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about through adversity, when you have to think things through, when you got problems hanging on your head, it teach you how to be patient and work it out and don't overthink stuff. All of these things that, these athletes like Ray and Shannon and of course us too, because we played, it gives you that sense of like the relaxation when you're going through something, because it taught us that year in and year out, and also leadership. But when you have somebody who's close to you, and I've always felt through my career in anything, football was like the best when it came of building a nucleus with somebody, and a friendship and a partnership, and this man pride about things of how to work out things when you're going through a situation. And when you have a guy, it's like a built fraternity.
It is a fraternity.
You have a guy who betray you like that, it's just like a betrayal. You literally stab your boy in the back by saying stuff like that, when a text or a phone call should have done it. But even if it didn't, my lips are sealed.
Absolutely.
Just because he's not having Kurt Franklin on there and have gospel music playing on it, that don't mean that guy's doing anything wrong. He's not.
Thank you.
And I just really felt like Ray should have just handled it differently than coming on there spewing his guts like that, of what happened about him making this transition to having that form of content on his show. I mean,
absolutely.
I just felt like it wasn't fair to him.
I don't think it was fair either. And Shannon Sharpe publicly defended Ray Lewis back in 2000, according to this, and it said that he had a deep loyalty with Ray, and he told the media, look, I just wish the media would print him as being the best football player with the same passion and same prejudice as you write that stuff about. Give him a fair shake. And this was when Ray was having his legal issues back then. Look, if your closet is not clean, don't throw any stones. Don't go give your opinion on nothing, especially a direct shot at another person. If his closet is clean, that's one thing. But if your closet is not clean, don't be throwing stones at people, because you got things in your past that just as well could come out or have come out in the past. So don't do that. I just suggest, if you are successful, whether you play football, you retired from it, or any sporting, career, let's just say any professional sports career, and you have other people in that industry, don't comment on their personal matters. I mean, it's best not to do it. That's all I'm going to leave it at. So, anyway, that pretty much wraps up our show. And, you know, you did mention one important thing that I'm going to bring to light right now, that as a society of people, we need to practice more patience, because it seems like as fast as time is going, because it seems like time is just flying. You wake up in the morning, it's 9 o'clock, then it's 3 o'clock, then it's 6 o'clock, then it's 9 o'clock at night, and then it's time to go to bed and do the same thing the next day again. However, practice patience and try to be as patient as you can. I'll give you an example. I was at a right turn signal yesterday, and it was a traffic light where it was a no right turn on red. And if you have a no right turn on red, you don't turn right on red. If the sign is right in front of you, you sit until the light turns green. Although I see people do it all the time. I've done it in the past and got caught for it as well. But I sat there and I was patient until this person made that turn, and it was a person crossing the street, but I had people blowing behind me to move on. Don't do that, because you have to be patient enough to wait for another driver to make that turn. Now, if you catch them and you see them, they're on the phone or something, you can hit the horn real quick. That's fine. But beyond that, people just need to be more patient. Everybody's in a hurry. They drive fast. They drive reckless. They walking in a hurry. They get in line and want to check out in a hurry. Life just doesn't work like that. So anyway, I will close this show out, and we will do this thing again. We had a really good show today. I want Isaah to go ahead and button it up for us and close us out.
What a beautiful show, DC, and nice weekend, you know, with the sports, and we covered all this stuff and had a beautiful time covering that Michigan-Oklahoma game. It was really beautiful, and we're looking forward to this week.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to this week, man, and I just want all of our viewers to continue to watch us and support us. We loving this thing, man, and it's all for you guys, and
it's all for the family.
And then love on them as well. You know, there's a bunch of stuff going on around the world, not just in your personal lives. We all know we got our own issues, but tell folks that you care, you love them, and give them a hug if you can. And listen, have a pleasant week.
Absolutely. Have a pleasant week. Once again, thank you for joining the DC Stewart Show podcast. Along with my kinfolk, Isaah and Najee, will be returning to the show later this week. So we're going to be doing another show, and then we're going to roll into the weekend, and we're going to be covering these games, and we're going to bring you the best that we can bring you. So take care of yourself, take care of your mental health first, and your physical health. Help yourself before you can help someone else. Take care. We'll see you soon. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take care.